RC family. Welcome back to another episode of the RC Lounge podcast with your boy EKJ 24,000. Hope everybody had a great day today. Man, we made it through another awesome day safely, soundly. We couldn't ask for that much better, you know? So, RC family, yeah, we just got a treat for y'all tonight. But yeah, man, like I said, I just hope everybody made it through the day safely and made it home safely. Everything was in its place when you got home, and like I said, I totally appreciate everyone jumping in here, and we just got a treat for y'all tonight. And I just want to say again, RC family, appreciate y'all for helping me reach that 1,000 and I think like 15 subscribers. So we just on our way, doing big things for 2024. And like I said, this just the beginning of the big opportunities that's coming to the RC Lounge podcast. And family, I just appreciate you. Appreciate you. And y'all just like, subscribe, y'all share this. Everyone that's out there on Facebook, y'all share this. And on YouTube, y'all hit that thumbs up. But yeah, man, like I said, tonight we got a big treat. We got a legend in the house. This man right here, man, he back there right now eating up all my Panda Express Chinese food I got backstage. He back there. I'm talking about eating. If y'all can see this man back there eating all this Panda Express up and backstage. RC George, what's up, man? But yeah, man, got a legend in the house tonight. And like I said, we appreciate y'all, everybody, for jumping in. Again, y'all, share this out. Share this. And subscribe to EKJ 24,000 on YouTube. Subscribe to EKJ 24,000 on YouTube. And y'all share this out. But yeah, like I said, we got a legend in the house tonight, y'all. I just thank him for this opportunity. I know he's a busy man now, got a lot of things going on. But yeah, he just decided to want to step in the RC Lounge and just talk with you. Talk with EKJ 24,000 and talk to the RC family. And let me just introduce him to y'all, man. This is a guy that has won 17 Roar Nationals. He is the 2014 If My World champion. The main man, the legend himself, Ty Tessmann. Let's bring him on to the stage. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got the champ in the house. The champ is here. Yeah, man. Oh yeah, Ty. We had to. Oh yeah, man. We got to bring you in right, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got to bring you in right. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, y'all welcome Ty Tessmann to the RC Lounge, man. And hey, again, bro. Like I said, I just appreciate you just taking a little bit of time out. Just busy schedule, just pencil me in and do this for me. And like I said, this is just good for the RC family. Good for me. Good for you just can getting out and just talk and express for yourself, decisions you made recently. And like I said, this is just an awesome opportunity, man. Like I said, welcome again to the RC Lounge podcast, man. Like I said, I appreciate you. But yeah,
Thanks
yeah, man. Oh yeah. So yeah, Ty, man, just tell everybody where you're from. I mean, for those that don't know, tell everybody where you're from, bro.
Well, I'm from Cypress County, Canada, Alberta, Canada.
Okay. Yeah. And so how's the weather in Alberta, Canada right about now, this time of the year?
It's pretty chilly. There's about 3 inches of snow on the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just below zero. So that's for you guys. That is maybe 20, maybe.
Something like yeah, something
Yeah,
like yeah.
like that, yeah.
See, I'm
Maybe.
more here in the South. So I'm like down here in Alabama. So the temperature here today, I don't even want to tell you because you might get mad at me, man. It was like today here in Alabama, it was like what, 65? You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, bro. So yeah, we down south, so you know how that go. But you in Canada, so um, so how did you get into RC, man? How did you start off in RC? What brought you to RC?
Well, my grandma and grandpa bought me a new bright RC car. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically a department store grade RC car.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's kind of where I got started. And I drove that till it broke, and obviously can't get parts for those, so I had to get a hobby grade car.
Yeah.
So I got a Tamiya Wild Dagger. It's a four-wheel
Okay.
drive kind of monster truck-ish truck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we started a club in our town and kind of got racing there, and then upgraded to a RC10 T3, which was my
Awesome.
first
Okay.
race car,
Yeah.
and then just raced that and started to go to races around Alberta, and then kind of ventured out to the next provinces over
Mm-hmm.
and gained classes, kind of expanded a bit, and then just, I mean, after that, started winning in Canada, and then decided to go down to the States. We went to Nitro Challenge. Actually, went to a race in Idaho before that, but um, the race in Idaho is kind of where I decided to like actually want to be a professional. Just how the pros there treated me. Adam Drake was there, Cavallari, Travis Mezqua, Jimmy
Yeah.
Babcock. So those guys really welcomed me in a lot, and it kind of really gave me the bug to want to become a professional. Um,
Awesome. Yeah.
after that race, that was in 2003. After that race, I won my first race in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and then decided to go down to the Nitro Challenge in 2005, and found out how fast you really had to go. And I was in the G main, and
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
it
Like I
was
said,
it was a big eye opener for sure.
big eye opener. That's what's up, man. Like I said, man. So you actually started off running 10 scale at first and then hit 8 scale?
Then moved to eight scale. Yeah, I actually won my first race in Canada. It was an eight scale race, and it was in the
Okay.
mud and rain, and it was nasty. But I ended up winning that one. So that was once I started winning that, and then I went to a couple other races. I did really good, and then kind of went to the
Mm-hmm.
next step was down to the U.S. and yeah,
And did the thing then and turned it
I
out
mean,
then. Yeah. Yeah, man. So okay, in that transition period when you really found out, how A scale racing you had, how fast that you actually had to be. So in that transition period, what was the race that you really like thought that okay, since you know what I'm saying you did very well, at your local races and stuff like that, and then you start moving out into the other provinces and racing. So what was the one race that you was like, man, maybe I can take this a little farther, or what do you remember what race that was when you really noticed your speed picking up and stuff?
um, well, I won my first race in Canada was that nitro race in the mud, the eight scale race, and that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
my breakthrough, I guess, in Canada. Shortly after that, I got sponsored by Hot Bodies,
Yeah.
which, if I wouldn't have had that, I don't think my career would have accelerated as fast as it did because I got a basically 100% ride by
Okay.
just racing in Canada,
Yeah.
and that allowed my parents to afford like to be able to go to more races because they didn't have to pay for cars and parts. So that was a huge um, advantage I had early on to be able to start going to more
Mm-hmm.
races. So that was probably in 2004. That was probably the year that it really became possible, I guess, like
Yeah.
more realistic.
Uh-huh.
And then we started racing. Started by going to one race a year, then a couple races a year, and then
Yeah.
it snowballed quite quickly as far as going to races after that. The speed didn't come, like I didn't get to where I could win. Like if I won my first race in 2010 at Nitro Challenge. So
Yeah.
before that, it was the C main and the B main. Like it was a long road up of just racing and trying to get better. And the speed wasn't really all that far off. It was just the consistency that I lacked.
Okay, okay.
So that's kind of
So
what we worked on at home.
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. So when you notice that okay, the speed is real close. So how did you go about, really tuning in, your consistency and stuff like that? What kind of practice did you do to get that down pat?
Well, when we were at races, I would
Mm-hmm.
watch the A main and the faster heats go and kind of watch their lines and learn that way. And then when we went home, I would slow down to where I could run 5 minutes without crashing, no matter how slow it had to be. At the start, it
Okay.
was quite slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd run 5 minutes without crashing, and then go to 20 minutes without crashing, and then you could pick up speed on that, and then slowly get faster. It's easier to increase speed once you stop crashing than trying to stop crashing once you're going fast, or like as
Okay.
you're already going fast. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to kind of build speed after you got the consistency down. So that's how my dad trained me to go to practice,
Yeah.
and it definitely helped. And then also having the mindset of if you drive your car to 100%, your or your ability to 100%, you don't have much room. Like you're always on edge, kind of, and that's when you start to make mistakes. If you can drive 85, 80%
Yeah.
and not make a mistake, you're going to be further ahead than driving that 100% and even making one mistake.
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
being able to
Mm-hmm.
back it down a little bit and have the
Yeah.
consistency, it's still
Mm-hmm.
up until I would say probably 5 years ago, that was basically the main ingredient to winning. But
Yeah.
now it seems like you have to drive at 98%
You gotta
ability.
drive hard. Yeah.
You got to
I
drive
got
super
you.
hard, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have an A main anymore where the winner hasn't crashed. It's very, very rare that they don't crash. It's
Yeah,
something
man.
like now it's more of a sprint, like all out, just as fast as you can go, and try to make the least amount of mistakes, not just no mistakes. So it has changed a little bit in how, like, the strategy of racing.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, back in the day, it was conserving your car tires and not crashing, and you'd win.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man. Like I say, just coming up, man, and I was noticing just like you said with the consistency, just working on starting slow. Starting with a good, your good speed that you can really be in control of your car, and then progressing from there. So, um, so what would you give like a tip to like the intermediate drivers? That's really kind of like in between the pro and then top level intermediate in that transition period. What kind of tips could you give them far as like getting them over that hump? Taking transition on into pro.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, practicing is important, but how you practice, I think, is very important. And I think a lot of people are missing the benefit of knowing their car properly.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is people switching teams all the time, which, if you
Yeah.
can find a car that you like and stick with it, I think you'll be further ahead, especially when you're still learning setup and how that stuff works. If you're not constantly trying to learn a new car, I think that's uh, a big advantage
A
you
big
can use
advantage.
because you
Okay.
can learn your car and then not be guessing when you go to a race and need to change something. And on that
Yeah.
same note,
Mm-hmm.
being able to test and practice at home and actually figure out what setup changes do is very important because a lot of people just run laps because it's fun to drive, and going up and down the driver's stand a bunch of times, changing things constantly, a lot of people don't like doing, but that's where you learn the most, and I think you gain the most because if you don't know what your car does and
Yeah.
it's not doing what you need to, you're not going to be able to win.
I got
And that becomes more evident as you get faster and as you climb the ranks.
you. Mm-hmm.
And the more competitive the racing is, the more important your package has to be of your engine being good, your car being good, your tires being right. So I would say going home practicing, what I did anyway was doing 4 laps
Yeah.
and then changing something. If you don't know what your car's doing, change something. Just pick some random. It doesn't matter what it is. Pick random things, change
Okay.
it, and make a big change. Don't just go 2 positions. Go like on a Kimberlink. Go 3 positions if you can,
Yeah.
just so you get a feel of what it does. Then
Okay.
if it sucks, you can go back. If it's better, it's great.
Right.
But and then try to have that stored either in notes or in your memory of what that does, and eventually get through every sitting on your car
Mhm.
It's going to take some time and a lot of effort, but it's really going to help your knowledge of the car,
Yeah.
your ability to adapt to situations, different track conditions.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people lack is they don't put the time into testing setup stuff properly. They'll either change something and then run a tank of fuel, which is not good either because you get
Yeah.
used to it.
Right.
No matter how much you think you can overcome that, you're going to get used to it and you're going to have a foggier idea at the end of the tank rather than having a few 4 or 5 laps in. So being able to do that, you can also test faster if you only do 4 laps.
Mhm.
You can run 4 laps, come down. Like if it's easier for you, do an electric car, like an
Yeah.
e-buggy. But
Okay.
if you're only doing so many laps, you don't get used to it and you get a feel for it. You might need a few more than that to start. But I was at the point where I could test it, and sometimes I could even feel it in 1 lap. If it was a big change or
Yeah.
drastically better or worse, I could feel it in a lap. But from I would say baseline, 4 laps is good,
Yeah.
and then that way your tires don't change either. Your track condition doesn't change as much. Your tires don't wear out. You get a better, more direct, more consistent, more rock solid feel, I would say, of what your car is doing in those fine, especially when it's becoming fine tuning
Right.
adjustments.
So when you practicing like that, like how often would you like make sure like if you run a nitro, how often would you like make sure that like your engine bearings and all that is taken care of? Because when you practicing, we just like you said, we focus on just say camber and like you were saying and make sure. I know you said do 4 laps, but before you go out there, how important is it to make sure that your maintenance is on point before you go practice? Would you almost do like a just say like a not a complete like rebuild before like before you go to a race, but would you make sure everything how important is the maintenance, especially even if you just going to practice?
Yeah. So the maintenance is obviously important because that changes how your car works.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're practicing with a car that's subpar, you're gonna have you might be able to feel some things, but it might actually give you a false reading on other things, whether or not they
Okay.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to the track or went to the track to practice, I would make sure like people are really concerned about having a clean car and spraying it down with whatever, blowing it off to make sure it's shiny and nice looking, but that's really
Yeah.
not that important. It's more important your hinge pins are free, your pillow balls, if you run a pillow ball car, is free.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is working. Shocks, if your shocks are clean, that's good, obviously, but the outside doesn't matter if it's clean. It matters the inside's clean and where the O-rings
Right.
are.
Right.
So I would the shock or my X-ray car, the shocks didn't need to be done as often, but different cars are different that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I would obviously check everything every time we'd go to the track, like we'd go on a Saturday or something. I would have my shocks made sure they were good. If they didn't need to be rebuilt, they were still good. They the clutch, I would do the clutch, I think, every time, not
Okay.
replace it necessarily, but make sure the bearings are good and the
Yeah.
shoes are in good enough life to last the whole day.
I got
And when I say last the whole day, the amount of runtime I would get in a day is far less than a lot of other people do or you would think.
you.
Because
Okay.
I'm only running 4 laps at a time. We could be at the track for 8 hours, but I maybe drive, like total drive time is half an hour.
Okay. Okay.
So the car
Yeah.
doesn't need as much maintenance when you only run 4 laps at a time in between changes. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another reason to keep your car good. And in some track conditions, it's worse. Like you have to be more on top of it. If it's super dusty or super abrasive, you might have to adjust your maintenance schedule a little bit.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is keeping your suspension free, as in hinge pins and pivot points,
Mm-hmm.
keeping your shocks clean and the O rings maintained and the shock shafts maintained if you have to polish them, whatever.
Yeah.
Just have everything working as it should, even though if like my car was a lot of times my practice car wasn't the cleanest, but everything functioned properly. The suspension moved properly, the engine
Mm-hmm.
ran well, clutch worked. Those are the main important things when you're testing. And then another thing to keep in mind is find a tire that works decent, but that's going to last the entire time of your test session. If you're running a tire that runs that that'll last 10 minutes and it'll be awesome for 10 minutes and then slowly fade off,
Yeah.
that's not going to be ideal unless you want to put new tires on every 10 minutes.
Okay, okay.
So
So I
that's one thing I would run is I'd run a little bit bigger tire,
hmm
like a Amazonia or something that was going to last longer, so I could
I got
have
you.
the same consistent tire all day.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Bro, that makes sense right there. You really didn't help a whole lot of people just saying that little bit, man. And like I say, okay, when you after you run your full laps and you get out there, make sure that you got everything, maintenance up. And is it any time that you really um just focus on just your driving? Not really. I know it may be days that you get ready to work on a specific setup option, just like Canva or something like that. But is it any days that you really just sit down and be like, man, I just need to just turn some laps? You know what I'm saying? Do you just work on your driving? Controlling the car, your car control, maybe, you know, whips or even do variations of whips just to get around the corner. Is it any day you just really practice on your driving?
There has been days, yeah. Like there's,
Mm-hmm.
we had a couple other guys that would run with me, and we'd have practice races, which is a lap or 2 lap races, and that really helps for like start of main finals or driving in traffic when
Right.
you are pressured. We would just race for fun, but you'd have the winner after like whoever crossed a certain point, wherever we picked on the track after two
Mm-hmm.
laps, you'd win. So there was
Yeah.
some incentive to try and win. So you'd drive aggressive, you'd make passes, you'd learn a lot of car control with
Mm-hmm.
doing races like that, and it's a lot of fun actually too. Like it's good
Okay.
practice driving, it's enjoyable. So there's definitely been days where I've done more driving.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if we're going to a super specific kind of race, like we'll either change our track a little bit to suit or to mimic kind of what we're going for. Either it's a faster layout, bigger jumps, whoop section, whatever it may be, to practice those specific things.
Yeah.
But the days of running more, like just driving, I would say we're much less towards the end of like the later years in my career because driving's still important, but it got to a point where the skill level I think was almost maxed out,
Yeah.
and then it became a equipment focus to try and get better on setup, tires, learn more things to adapt to different conditions better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's definitely your practice schedule needs to shift at a certain point, which maybe for an intermediate guy like you were saying, he might be like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Half the days you go just to drive, the other half is to learn.
Yeah.
Or maybe even half, you could split the day up just so it's not an entire day of running up and down the stand every 4 laps.
Okay.
You could
Okay.
do like a tank of fuel just to have like race around with your buddies, just do some driving,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe if it, like the local track, whatever it is, that slows down so there's less people on the track, that might be a good time to go test things because the track conditions not going to change as much.
Okay. Okay. While y'all was driving together, when you with your fellas and stuff out there driving, y'all having to race each other, is it a time where you really focus in on how to control your nerves when y'all like, bumper to bumper going through turns? Is that a time that you really feel like, okay, let me while we racing, let me just stay calm, control my nerves so I can do a clean pass? Or is anything preparation you do to help work on your nerves in situations like that?
Yeah, there's for sure that would help too for that because if you're in the lead,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I would get in the lead and then I'd pull over with half a lap to go and let them catch back up so they're right behind me again.
Yeah.
So being able to drive with someone right behind you was good practice as far as trying for pressure. So that I would practice that a couple times too. Or if I would like we'd all say go or something and for a 1 lap race, let's say, I would start a couple corners behind. So I'd be
Yeah.
driving like I would if I'm trying to catch up at the beginning of a race or in a qualifier. So I could
Yeah.
practice driving closer to my limit, but
Mm-hmm.
still not going over. But there has been a couple times where we'd race, and I would put in my head of like, okay, pretend this is the last lap of Nitro Challenge,
Yeah.
and it would kind of being able to do that while pulling over and waiting to them to catch up to like the very last minute, and then trying to drive while they're being super aggressive because it's just for fun. So that was kind of a way you can get a test of pressure and a bit of um, some practice at handling it, I guess. But
I got
ultimately, the way to handle pressure is just experience at big races. There's nothing quite like it, and nothing can really replace it.
you. Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to get them races in because, like you said, it ain't nothing like being in the action, being at
Yeah,
a race. Just like back when I played college football. It's we practice, but you really don't get that game speed until you really in the game. You know what I'm saying? You can do
yeah.
practice all day, and like I said, you don't really get that game speed till you really act there, really out there actually in the
Till
game. So
you,
just like
yeah,
you really, yeah, at the race, you have to get in that race situation to really to get your nerves to that point, where it's you get really nervous and you got to hold it together to, what I'm saying, to do well. So, but
yeah.
yeah, bro, yeah, man. So okay, um, we practicing everything. So okay, for yourself, what was the point when you realized, as you went up the pro level that you that you and your dad really realized, okay, Ty, we I see that you're really coming into your own, and how do you how would y'all go about just getting better, like in the pits, better communication between each other? So was it times that y'all work on that, you know what I'm saying, while you're practicing and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's for sure. There was, as we practiced with each other, and like my dad was always at the track when we practiced too. So that's a big thing to have either your dad or whoever's racing with you to be
Mm-hmm.
practicing with you so you can learn each other's um, signals, kind
Yeah.
of, you can read each other a little bit better. And then also, when like my dad can tell how I'm driving just by
Mm-hmm.
like, he's obviously not controlling it, so he's just watching, but he can tell how my driving is, my attitude kind of while I'm driving, just
Yeah.
because he's been with me for so long.
Yeah.
So being able to do that and practice with each other, and even pit strategy, communication from um, like just in terms, like the terms you use to explain your car, the
Yeah.
terms you use to explain how the car's reacting or different parts of the track. That's all been learned over practicing and racing, and it hasn't really been something we really set out to practice. It just kind of happens with experience.
Okay. Okay. Just communicating with each other. Y'all
Basically,
get
yeah,
that.
trying to establish some line of baseline of like, what if you say my car pushes, there's, I mean, with me and my dad, there's three parts of the corner: in,
Mm-hmm.
middle, and out. So
Right.
which part of the corner would it push? Which part of the corner would it oversteer?
Yeah.
Stability, like when you say stability or ease of driving, that all can mean different things to different people. So being able to have some sort of, I guess, language with each other that
Yeah,
that
that's
you understand.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I was yeah, that's the main thing I was really trying to say. So how yeah, when y'all was practicing, how did it you and your dad develop that language to be on the same page, without having to say a whole lot of stuff to really get to the point of what you really needed for the car, that just come like you said with just practicing, just being working with each other all the time, practicing with each other all the time and just, you
Yeah.
know, watching the car. So,
Yeah, it's something that has been a constant development too. Like, it's, our terms and stuff have
mhm.
evolved a little bit over my career. Like, either it's been, some things have been shortened, some things have been more defined, maybe, if that's the right word, or intricate, or whatever, however you want to say it. But some things have
Yeah.
got simpler, some things have gotten more complex
Mhm.
in
I
how we
got you.
talk, just depending
Okay.
on the situation and how specific it needs to be, or whatever, like that.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay. Now back. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to this meat now. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know we know how to practice now.
Yeah.
So let's get to this meat. Okay. So yeah, man. Okay. in the period that 2012 to 2014 period, that was when like when you was really like on it, like you was actually dominating, and you could actually tell that the racers hated to see you in the race. They couldn't do nothing with you. What do you contribute to making you made you that dominant that you was basically almost they feared you? You know what I'm saying? What do
Yeah.
you what do you contribute to getting you to that point?
Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was obviously very blessed with talent to be able to drive. That's God
Right.
given talent for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that time, I think my car was really good. Like we had a very close connection with the engineer at that time, and we worked very well together.
Right.
We would be able to tell him what we needed. He would understand to be able to make it, and it was a very quick process between testing and part production.
Yeah.
So we could make stuff really quickly. We had obviously really good tires. Like the most of the races, the Proline tires were very dominant at in that era.
Yeah.
I had an OS engine, which was not very common amongst other racers, especially my top competitors. So I think the engine had a very big role in the power, like having more power and being more reliable than every other engine at the time.
Yeah.
Just the whole kind of the overall package. I had a lot of confidence on the track. I think it just all kind of worked together
Mm-hmm.
to be really like a really great package. And I think that's kind of that timeline is where being able to just keep your car together, tires, conserve tires, not crash.
Yeah.
And if you had even the same speed as everybody else, there was a good chance you were going to win if you didn't crash or your engine didn't flame out.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that
Okay.
was kind of the era. And shortly after that, it started to change to where you had to drive harder and
Yeah.
you could afford to make a mistake and still be in the race because everyone was driving so fast and everyone's engines got better and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's tires got better. Like all the there's so many companies now that are very very similar in performance as far as car, engine, tires, and it just makes it that much more difficult. So back
Okay.
then, I think there was less companies
Mm-hmm.
and especially less competitive companies. And I
Okay.
was fortunate to run very very good products back then.
Okay. Okay.
As in comparison to others, I should say.
Right.
Not that I have in the like the recent past, but in comparison, it was better.
It was better. I got you. I got you. So yeah. So how was it? So how was it important that you had your dad, your mom, even your sister, um, backing you at that time? And like I say, they really supported you. How you think is that really important? Just say for a coming up pro racer, is that important to have that support system? You know, trying to develop and be the best racer you can be.
I think it's extremely important, and I'm very thankful for having my family to be such a big part of my career and being so close to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think my dad being able to push me as hard as he did without going over the edge was a very difficult thing to do, and he did it very well. So I think that's a lot of things where I've seen kids burn out over the years because
Yeah.
their dad is either too hard on them, or not
Mm-hmm.
either. Their dad is too hard on them and expecting too much too soon, and then that takes the fun out of it. So my dad balanced that very well.
Yeah.
And there, not to say we didn't have our bad days, but it was a big part of the success that he had figured out that to push hard enough that I knew I had to do better,
Yeah.
but not so hard that I hated it.
I got you. So how did
So
y'all get through those bad days? Y'all, going back and forth. You know,
yeah,
dad and son, how we, go back and forth, So how did y'all get through those times?
just getting over it. Just
Yeah.
sometimes it took a little longer, but ultimately, it was in the moment. I didn't necessarily take it as constructive as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But at in hindsight, I can look back and think, and it wasn't that far past the incident that I could look back and say, well, he was doing this for the right reason, and I could have
Right.
done better here, and I should have. And it didn't take long for me to realize that if I had, like, if I was upset with him or something,
Yeah.
I realized shortly after that it was for my best, and he was doing the best thing he could have in the
Yeah.
moment,
I
and
got you.
that's true for a lot of incidences. When you look back, I think
Mm-hmm.
you can see that trouble or that difficult time was for the best, no matter how bad it seems in in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't that bad in the end, and we definitely didn't have very many bad times, but there was. I can look back now, and I'm thankful for all of the times he pushed me, and for even the hard times, whether it was between the relationship between us, the
Yeah.
hard times, or hard times on the track, or whatever it might have been. You'd still learn and you benefit from the harder times just as much as you do from the good times.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, man. Like I say, that family support period, especially with, like I said, sometimes a lot of time a lot of people are not blessed, you know, just through life and different situations go on. They're not blessed to really have, their family to back them. But if you just have generally good, legit people that's straight up, honest with you and that's just willing to support you and just really tell you how it is, um, if they got your back, then like I said, you can conquer anything. You know what I'm saying? Especially knowing that you got some solid support behind you. So yeah, I
Yeah,
feel you on that. Yeah, I feel you on
yeah,
that most definitely. So
for
yeah,
sure.
bro.
My
Yeah,
mom
man.
too.
Mhm.
Going back to a little bit about family, the having my mom at the races, she did a lot of behind the scenes work that no one ever really saw, like booking hotels and
Yeah.
flights and dealing with all that like headache
Mhm.
behind the scene. Just gave me the ability to not have to worry about that stuff, so I could focus on racing, which again was a huge burden she has taken from me in the overall RC career, which
Yeah.
was very much appreciated, even though I didn't show it all the time. But it's just being able to have them on my side, and that
Yeah.
their goals were my best interests. So being able to have someone you can count on and knowing that no matter what they have your best interests in mind is
Mhm.
pretty great to have. And my sister too, like she's, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know, but she made my website back before RC racers had websites.
Yeah.
So she accelerated my career again like that, and with my popularity over the internet, just and she was always there too when we were racing before
Yeah.
she could stay home. Before she was old enough, she would get drug along, and I mean, she gave up a lot of her time to do that, which
To
I'm
do
thankful
it.
for.
Yeah.
So definitely having family behind you is super important, and if you don't have that, then having a good friend or a trusted pit guy is definitely um, second best option, I guess. But
Okay.
still someone that you can count on is extremely important.
I got you. Okay, man. Another good question, man, that I had. I wanted to ask you, man. Like I said, you at this time, like I said, you was totally dominating the scene. Like I said, it was like to the point where the races really was really racing for second place, and just from that, man, and just being, like I said, God bless you to be in that position to be able to take control and have that talent to be in that situation and dominate like that. How was your mental strength, as far as just like being able to handle the pressure, um, just from the companies, um, being on the spot like that to be able to win and get all the accolades that you got, and how was your mental, what I'm saying, your mental approach, your mental strength to handle that pressure. How were you able to handle that and race and be consistent?
Um, so I don't really know how I was able to handle it. I guess that's a God given thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I started, I was super nervous. Like at Nitro Challenge, the first time we went, going back to that race, my knees were knocking so bad on the driver's stand I could barely stand. And
Yeah.
so that the nervousness has changed in what part I'm nervous for, but I still get just as nervous
Yeah.
and just as I wouldn't say anxious, but maybe stressed out
Mm-hmm.
on not so much my equipment falling apart or something I've done wrong as far as my car goes,
Yeah.
but just my ability in driving, trying to make sure I do everything right because you have to drive so hard now. You can't just sit back and like coast. You have to just go, go, go.
Right.
So the stress and the it hasn't gotten easier. It's just changed kind of as they get more
Okay.
expectation.
Yeah.
I've gotten more experience to handle it, but as I get more experience to handle it, I get more expectation put on me from the
Like,
companies, from everyone.
I got you.
So
Okay.
it's kind of just it was an ongoing, just a slow shift
Mm-hmm.
of where the demand was coming from, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But it doesn't really get easier. It just changes because the more you win, the more you're expected to win, and the more experience you get, the more knowledge you get, helps with that. But then it just kind of grows both at the same time. I would
I
say,
got you.
if that
So
makes
are
sense.
you naturally like do you play other sports, basketball, football? Are you a gamer or you play
No,
instruments? Do
I
you do
mean,
anything? Mm-hmm.
I haven't really. I never really played any video games. If I did, it was just at a friend's house, just
Yeah.
for whatever I was visiting them for. So I never had a video game in the house. I didn't really play a whole lot of sports. Just kind of, I mean, whatever at a gathering, I would just play something.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, just like work on. I mean, me and my dad built that Ranger over my racing career.
Right.
So working on stuff, mechanical kind of. But I would say that's probably about it, other than racing. Like a
Yeah.
little bit of mountain biking, but nothing crazy.
I got you. I just asked that because just what built your competitive spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like going into, like I said, going into the Worlds in 2014. You know what I'm saying? How I built your competitive spirit going into that. And like I said, this is a good time to bring up this little video and you can talk us through a little bit of the race in Italy
Okay.
2014. Let me just pop it up here.
I don't really know where my competitive spirit came from, but I always had that to where like as soon as I started racing, I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
win. I didn't
Okay.
ever want to like beat a certain person. Like it's not
Yeah.
like I had a grudge to hold against someone, but I just wanted to win and be the best at it. And I don't really know, I guess,
Yeah. It was all
how
God
it.
given at the right time. It came
Yeah.
out. You were doing RC racing. It's really it's really what it was. You was in the right in your passion. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
This what God put in your heart to do. You know what I'm saying? So you was in your passion and all of it worked. You already had all the tools. It was just fine tuning everything. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is just a part of your race in Italy in 2014, the World's race. So I'm gonna play a little bit of this.
Field is set. Like true in 2008, these have been Ty's worlds to lose. He has been the dominant driver all season long. Ryan Mayfield took pole and looked strong in the semis. Could he be our next world champ? Is there a dark horse in this group? Ty play closer and walk away with RC's ultimate prize. The bleachers are packed, fuel guns are full, buggies are ready. It's go time.
I was in second, so I didn't want to jump on top of Mayfield because he was going to do single single. So I was trying to go tight and do single single, and I went a little too tight and got hung up on the pipe, and then rode it all the way to the next corner and finally got back on.
Not at all the start Ty wanted. 5 seconds into the race, and Ty is nearly dead last.
I knew we had an hour to run and just had to keep doing laps. I knew everybody was crashing, so as long as I didn't crash, I would catch up. So I just tried to
Who was
keep
that
telling
guy?
myself that and keep praying.
Who was that youngster
Even though
right
the
there?
audience let out a collective gasp, Gord knows it's a long main. And more
There go
importantly, he
Pops.
knows his son.
He just doesn't quit. That's what he does. He just doesn't quit.
Ty is not the only one who didn't get the start he wanted. Cody King got pinched off right at the start and broke an arm
Cody
after hitting
King.
pit lane.
Hey, y'all stay tuned. Cody gonna be on here
I don't
I
really
think
know how to explain
Saturday,
that.
Ty. I gotta do
Okay.
an interview with
Just
Cody
bad luck, I
Saturday. So
guess.
y'all stay tuned.
Just kind of, I got a jump on someone on the start, and they didn't like that very much, I guess, and kind of pinched me off a little bit into the pit lane, and that's all she wrote. I was out for the first 5-6 minutes. I was really disappointed once they put my car down too, because my car was awesome. Everything was super good. So, but it's just the way it goes, I guess.
Vegas, baby.
Yep, 2016, here we come.
Ty is embedded deep in the 12-car field. Ryan Mayfield is checking out and enjoys an 11-second lead. That is until he suffers an unforced error. He is lucky that his car drove away from the crash. He nearly suffered the same fate as Cody King. Nevertheless, this error allowed Ryan's lead to erode. The pack, including Ty, has caught up to him. It's time for the first cycle of pit stops. Ty comes in first. Gordon Land get Ty topped off in what seems to be the fastest pit stop anyone has ever seen.
Ryan Mayfield.
It was kind of hectic in a little bit, like in the last couple guys, just because it was kind of everybody's racing hard and bumping and grinding, and I got fairly clean through that. Didn't really get tangled with anybody.
Ty has caught the leaders. He makes what just might be the ugliest pass for the lead in the history of RC.
It was kind of hectic. Yeah, I jumped into the on the grass and hopped back on, and Mayfield hit that thing. It was kind of like a hang-on moment.
Regardless, he's on point now with clean track ahead of him. Just a few laps later, and Ryan is in the pits again. He is done. His steering servo has failed, and his worlds are over.
It sucked that he broke, but it was kind of a relief a bit. It just kind of like a little bit of a weight off your shoulders that you're not being pressured the whole time, but it's.
But yeah, bro, like I say, yeah, like all of us know that you went on and to win the worlds right there, and like I say, man, that was just awesome. And like I say, just go back to what we were just talking about, for as like you being mentally tough. So how was you feeling? How were you feeling? You know, in that moment when you was started. What was it? First, second? Was it
Second? Yeah.
Yeah, second, and you made the bobble at the beginning, then you fell back and had to, work your way back up. How was you feeling at that moment?
Honestly, it's not as panicked as you would think.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like my car was so good that I felt like I could drive the whole time without crashing, and I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else, based on what I'd seen before that, could.
Mm-hmm.
So that in the back of my mind was helping, and I honestly don't think I was even driving that race. I think God was behind the wheel on that one, because there was, even then, it wasn't, I don't think it's humanly possible to do that.
Cause like I said, man, I did when I first did the video, when I pulled up the footage, and I did it off the IFMAR, video at first, and then I was looking at the timestamps, bro. And did you know, like I told you when we was talking a little bit earlier before the show, that you actually, lost the second place lead, and you got back. You was like in 10th, and you caught back up within, I think the timestamp on that when you got back to the lead with what like we just saw was like 7 minutes and like 55 seconds. You was right back in first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
yeah, man.
That just kind of, as I was catching up and how fast it was happening, was also like a relief, because if you can catch up in 7 minutes, then the rest of the hour, I mean, you're just going to keep pulling. Even if you make another mistake, you can catch back up. So
Right.
be able to do that much speed, or having that much speed,
Mm-hmm.
definitely is less stressful until like the halfway point when I think it was just over a lap lead.
Yeah.
Then it was basically just keep the wheels on it and don't crash, don't get collected with anybody else. Like you're kind of just out there dodging bullets the whole time.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, you feel like you are. So that it cut the stress kind of changed again. It went
Mm-hmm.
from trying to go fast enough to now trying to stay alive.
Yeah. I got
Because there's
you.
been a lot of races in the past where the leader has been a long way ahead and just something dumb happens
Something
that
don't
takes you
happen.
out of the race.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, like I said, bro, that's man, that is so awesome, man. Like you said, you persevered through that. Like I said, sometimes you just like life. Sometimes we have where we going through a situation, and sometimes we just have to put our head down and just persevere, and just go through it. And that's exactly what you did right there. You put your head down. You didn't get. Yeah, at first know you was kind of like shocked, like man, I lost my position, but
Yeah.
it's still a an hour long race. So let me just focus and keep pushing. And like I said, like your dad said, you ain't never give up. So like I said, man, you caught back up within 7 minutes, pretty much 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You was right back up there in the lead. So, but yeah, bro. Okay, bro. With all this dominance, okay. Let me ask you this first. Um, far as like your setup with the buggy and stuff, did y'all at any time just max out like your setup where you couldn't adjust anything no more? Was it at any race, not just this race, but was it anywhere in a race that you actually kind of maxed out on your setup, like you didn't adjusted everything you can adjust? We just gotta drive. But have you ever came to that point, or is that
Um,
possible? Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is possible. There was, especially, it depends on the car you run, how many adjustments you have. But
Mm-hmm.
in Italy, there is a good example because we had, I think there was like six or something practices. So there was a lot of practicing. So you had a lot of chance to get your car good.
Yeah.
And by I would say the last qualifier, well, the qualifying was kind of messed up because of the rain, but through qualifying, my car felt so good that we were making tiny, tiny adjustments in between to try and
Mm-hmm.
get a little more speed. But by the main and the semi and the main, I don't think my car could have been better for my expectations. Like
Yeah.
for as far as I knew, my car was as good as it could be. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there would like even though we didn't change every single piece on the car, you kind of have an idea of how the car should drive. And
Yeah.
if it's doing everything you want it to, there's really nothing to change.
I got you.
So there has been a few times where my car has been perfect and I wouldn't touch a thing. And there's like those times have been either you get it there in qualifying or you get it
Mm-hmm.
there for the main or just before the main. But there has been times where I haven't changed my car setup for up to half the event because
Yeah.
it's the car is ever doing everything it should,
Mm-hmm.
and either they were messing with tires or some other aspect to try and gain more speed without the car being the problem.
I got you. Okay. Okay.
But that
But
also comes as a product of testing and knowing your car
right.
inside and out
Mm-hmm.
properly before you go to the race.
I got you. Cool, cool. But yeah, man, like I said, all the dominance you had, especially with HB, and then you switched to X-ray, and we just I know it's tough going from brand to brand. So with that move, um, your results kind of you still good, had a bunch of wins with X-ray, but your results wasn't as dominant going
Mhm.
into the years with your X-ray and stuff like that. What do you contribute to that, to the kind of you know the peak? You know what I'm saying? What
Yeah.
would you contribute to that?
Well, I think a lot of people feel like that too when
Mm-hmm.
like the very first race we went to was Nitro Challenge with the new car with X-Ray, and I top qualified Nitro Buggy and didn't end up winning because I think there was some electronic failure or something stupid happened.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of races like all in a row. It seemed like that was just dumb stuff happening,
Mm-hmm.
which gave me worse results than I felt that were deserved, like
Right.
as maybe as X-ray deserved, and
Mm-hmm.
made it look like it was worse. But at the same time, the industry was changing as far as racing goes, and the competitiveness of everything kind of skyrocketed
Went up. Yeah.
really quickly. Like as
Mm-hmm.
far as like we'll give engines for example, it went from OS being the only engine that was OS engine to then there was like 3 or 4 different brands that bought OS engines and sold them under their name. So then they kind of the amount of people running OS engines got really big,
Right.
and then at the same time there was other engine companies that were figuring stuff out. So then the engines became less of a separator,
Mm-hmm.
and the tires seemed to be shifting. There was a shift in how the tracks were reacting, and that the tires were working. So there was a lot of things that were changing quite quickly, and leveling the playing field maybe
Right.
as the competition was coming up. So, like, forget an example. If I was running the HB car in 2018, 2019, just like I was when I was winning, I
Yeah.
don't think it would be winning. I think at the era that it was running was the best car, but I don't think it was X or the HB was better than X-ray. I think the industry changed and the level of competition changed, and the demand that the tracks were giving on the cars was different. Like
Right.
even I noticed how I was driving. Like it used to be where you would drive your car like a finely tuned piece of equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden we went to races and it was like rapidly changing to where you were driving as hard as you possibly could, landing full throttle places, going through sections just wooded to try to keep your car on its wheels. And it just basically it felt like I was abusing my car to go fast. And it's
Right.
everyone was the same. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
like I was just driving like that. It was that's how we had to drive. So there was a shift in how driving was. So to say that I did better with HB, I think is kind of unfair for a lot of for in a lot of aspects,
Yeah.
because if I was driving that car that I won the worlds with in 2018 at the worlds,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't have been competitive. I'm almost sure of that.
I got you. Hey,
Just
this
like
this
everybody else's cars have evolved.
right. Like I said, it's a different time, like you said, and like you said,
Yeah,
like OS was on top with the engine program, and another other companies was coming in, like FX and all them was just coming in, and Reds
yeah,
was coming in, and everything. So it's a different time, different place. Like I said, and then like I said, you switched up on your tires too, and the engine program, and with the new car. So
yeah. There
yeah,
was a lot of switching, but I think everyone. I mean, there's not really one guy that's kept with the same stuff in the last 5 years.
exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone's kind of moving around, whether it's paycheck orientated, whether it's company, whether it's performance, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just becoming so much more competitive, and I mean, there's still some paycheck motivated,
Yeah.
but also the products have gotten a lot closer to each other, I would say.
Okay.
Like there used to
Okay.
be 1 or 2 cars that were way better than everything else. There was an
Yeah.
engine that was way better, tires were way better, and now, I mean, in the top, if you get like the world's this past world is kind of a bad example, but most of the races you'll have a bunch of different tire brands, bunch of different like you won't have more than 1 or 2 cars in the main of each company.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so spread out that I
Yeah.
think that gives a testament to how close everything is and how good
Right.
everything has gotten.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, a lot of the cars now, man, they all of them are pretty good. All of them are
Yeah,
good, and it's just about it goes back to your skill and your hard work, your homework you've done. You know what I'm saying, to figure stuff out,
yeah,
and that's what a lot of it. It seems like that's a lot of the separation is how much knowledge you got. You know,
yeah,
how long you been with your car, how what you done figured out. That's kind of like it seemed like that's where people getting the edge at is your time you put in, your testing, seeing what it does, how you making it comfortable, just for you. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
so yeah, man. So yes, okay, since you done ran your OS engines and you done ran FX engines, just give us some some characteristics of both. You know what I'm saying? Maybe pros and cons, characteristics of both. What you found out just comparing the two. What would you say between those two engines? What's some of the characteristics that you could say?
Well, the OS, I
Mm-hmm.
would say had it was probably, how should I say this? The OS had very, very good power.
Yeah.
If you had, like, your clutch was, I would say, is a little bit more particular about having the right clutch with the OS engine.
Mm-hmm.
As far as tuning goes, they're pretty close to the same. Maybe the FX had a slightly wider window of tuning, which, if you're trying to run the engine at the peak of performance, can be more difficult because it'll run and sound almost the same, even if you're in like within a couple hours of being
Off.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as being a good engine for someone who's not an awesome engine tuner, I think it's better. But if you're
Oh,
trying to tune to peak performance, I think it's a little bit harder
okay.
because your engine will still run good. You'll still have pretty good power, but your power band might be a slight bit off, and your fuel mileage won't be as good, or vice, like whichever way you're going, it might
Yeah.
be better than you're getting, or you might be running a little lean, or you might be running a little rich, and you
Okay.
won't really necessarily notice. Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
OS, you could kind of, it was a bit more sharp in how you could tune it. You would be able to hear it and know if it's tuned properly,
I
because
got you.
it would still run good. It just wouldn't. You'd be able to notice easier.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
with the FX engine, it seemed like the more load it was under, it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like it kind of just kept pulling, like it had another gear in it, almost like it would just like it. I ran the same engine in buggy and truggy, and it felt
Right.
like it almost had more power in truggy than it did buggy. And it was like the more load you put on it, the better it went, which
Mm-hmm.
was very strange to me and very weird. But it was a pretty cool engine. Like it, the mileage I would say wasn't as good as OS, but the way it felt and how the power band was, I liked it better.
Right. Okay. Cool. 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 So, hey, y'all be hey, FX lovers, OS lovers. Hey, there you go. There you some game right there. There you go. But yeah, even to the HB car and the X-ray car. What were some of the differences and advantages on both of those?
Um, so the HBI car I ran wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
one that's being sold now. It's close,
Right.
but they did
Yeah, it's
make some
not.
changes.
Right.
But from what I can remember and what the
Mm-hmm.
car was back then, I would
Mm-hmm.
say the HB car probably jumped better. Like it had more pop off of jumps. Like if there was some small double or something that you had to make, and you could hit it slower, and the car would make it easier.
Yeah.
Whereas the pillowball car, whether it's ride height dependent or whatever the reason was, but it seemed like in general, a pillowball car doesn't jump as high
Mm-hmm.
as a C hub car. That was one thing I think the HP did better, but the pillowball car, how it drives high speed, I don't think you could beat it. Like how stable it is and how you can power around corners
Yeah.
is, I don't think you can beat that with a C hub car. Like it's just how it drives through bumps on power, how it drives through smooth on power.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just very stable, and I don't. I mean, I haven't been able to find a C Hub car that drives as good as my X-Ray did on
That's right.
power,
So did
whatever
you
it
think
is.
that do you think that helped you in the nationals what last year when it was in was it Chico, California? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was my car. I think was, as far as driving, I think it was the best car. I think we lacked a bit of acceleration, like a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of the drive coming out of the corner, which the Losi car has always been super good at. Is it's always come out of the corner like a rocket, and when you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of grip, you can. That I mean, it goes good. So
Yeah.
that I think that's where we were losing time on Dakota. But as far as like my car drove, like how it drove, it was awesome. Like it was super stable. It had enough steering everywhere. It had really
Yeah.
good rear grip.
Mm-hmm.
It jumps and lands awesome,
Cause
but just the immediate snap and exit corner acceleration is where I was lacking.
okay, cause it seemed like at that national race, man, it just seemed like you really found another gear. I don't know. It just looked at it like that for me, cause it seemed like after that national race, it seemed like you was getting back in that in that groove. Like you really found another gear in the cars or whatever. So,
Yeah,
but
we had done some testing at home, and we kind of stumbled across a few different little things that seem to help speed. And obviously, if you do good at one race, your confidence builds for the next one. So you
mm-hmm.
gain momentum like that. Um, but I've always done good at Chico. Like that was where I won the double national championship at 2015. I
Okay,
won a couple of their or one of their manufacturers races, one of the manufacturers cups, those heads up races there.
yeah,
So that track has always been one of my favorite. Um, and it seems like the tires I've ran at every certain time have worked really good there. So I think that's
mm,
part of the success there. But like even at the Visions race, I think our tires, the hot race tires, work super well on
yeah.
outdoor hot conditions, and it just showed there. Like it was, I mean, my car was amazing there too, and I could drive through the field like it was kind
Like
of
it
like
wasn't
in
nothing.
Italy.
Right. You did good. So speaking of the Vision race, did you and Mayfield y'all made up? Y'all good now? Or y'all still beefing? What's up since
No,
that Vision
we
race?
made up at the
Okay.
worlds in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
We got everything hashed out and kind of talked it out, and yeah, we're all good now. So, and we haven't had a altercation or anything since.
So what started that? What did did he veer over in your lane or what happened?
Well, that really depends on who you talk to. I
I
mean,
got you.
obviously, I think there's only two sides to it. There's either on my side or his side. But
Yeah.
from what I saw, I was on the outside, and I'll say I didn't back off, but I
Yeah.
figured we could go down the straightaway side by side, and that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're racing for our livelihood, for at this race specifically for a good amount of money,
Right.
so that doesn't help the tempers and the stress level of the race because it that happened at that race. There was a lot of people that were getting into each other and yelling at each other. It's just that one happened to be in for the lead
Front of
and
here.
on
Yeah.
camera.
I got you.
So I think a lot of people are hard on everybody racing, saying they shouldn't react how they do. But if you're racing for your paycheck and
Mm.
something doesn't go right, it's stressful.
Yeah.
And he's got a family to take care of. So I don't hold anything back or hold anything against him
Yeah.
for acting like being angry and stressed
Mm-hmm.
out.
Right.
Obviously, there's a better way I could have handled, but there's probably better on both of our parts. We could have handled it, and it is what it is, and it's always going to be like that. It's probably going to start happening more because the racing's getting tougher, contracts are getting tougher.
Right.
There's more expectation put on the drivers, so I foresee this happening probably more in RC in general, not just like I'm not picking on Mayfield. I'm saying in a whole group,
Whole group. Right.
it's going to
I
start
got you.
being more cutthroat. I think.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you think should the pros race more heads up racing for money? Should it be more money races?
I think it would people would get or the pros would get used to doing it more, but the only way to get around fighting, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that's such a bad thing having tempers rise because obviously people like to watch that because it happens in NASCAR, it happens in all kinds of racing and makes it more exciting,
Yeah.
but it does make it more stressful for everybody. The only way to get around that is if you said, okay, everybody's like the 12 people or whatever invited to this race. We're going to have heads up races just like Visions.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, we're going to split the winning money up between everybody. And you put on a show,
Right.
and no matter who wins, everybody gets paid the same. I think that would put all the fighting to a stop. I really don't think people would get so upset if they didn't have to win any more or less money. They got paid the same. They could just race for fun. It would still
Mm-hmm.
be a great show because you'd still want to, your pride would still want to win.
Right.
So you could still put on a show for the crowd, but you wouldn't have people like dog eat dog kind of style.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, man.
I
And
mean, it sounds kind of lame that everyone's a winner, but there's still a winner, and that's the only way I think you could get around meltdowns.
yeah, I mean, it can be done. It can be done. I just feel like they could do money races, but you can still get your contingency stuff. You know what I'm saying too. So
Yeah,
at the end
yeah,
of the day, you're not really losing as much, or it's still gonna equal up. Basically the same thing. They just how they structure it. It
Yeah.
would make it look more like you're racing for a big pot. So,
I think
but yeah, man.
a little bit of the
Mm-hmm.
blame too can be put on the companies because most of the contracts, I don't think this is very well known, but a lot of the contingency plans is a
Mm-hmm.
ton of money for winning and maybe a quarter of that for second. So
Mm-hmm.
there's almost nothing. You don't almost get anything for second.
Right.
So that puts a huge burden on people to try and win, and that
I
makes
got
it
you.
even more stressful and more like just puts the pressure on them that much more.
Yeah. Okay. When y'all go like negotiate for your deals and stuff every year and stuff like that, do they offer y'all like health insurance and stuff like that? Can you work it in there, or is it just up to y'all to get that
That's
separate?
not. I've never heard of that. No, that's always been up to like we've always got our own
You got own
special
stuff.
health insurance for going
Okay,
down
gotcha.
like for traveling and
Yeah.
if we're going overseas or something, get all that ourselves.
Okay. But yeah, bro. So why do you feel like a lot of the I don't know, maybe I said US drivers don't really go over to Europe and race as much? What's the deal with that? What's going on? What you think about that?
So
Should they
from what
go
I
more?
see and how I
Mm-hmm.
felt when I raced, the
Right.
reason we don't go over there as much is because their layouts and their tracks are always in for so long. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is a good example of this Montpellier race. I think that's how you say it, if not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that layout has been in for as long as I can remember. It has almost changed, like almost hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
So it's not really a fair playing field for Americans to go there because that
Mm-hmm.
race, especially, you only get a few practice runs, and you're not going to learn a track and be as competitive as a guy that's raced it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing that holds American racers from going. As along with that is it's expensive to fly from the U.S. to America or
Mm.
U.S. to Europe.
To Europe.
It's
Yeah.
not so much the other way around. I think it's a lot cheaper for the Europeans to come here. And
Okay.
when I say
Okay.
here, I mean North America.
Yeah.
But those two things I think are the biggest reasons why you don't see Americans going over there as much.
Okay. I got you, man. And another thing, man. I just want to know this. So, how did the beef between you and Ronald Fox start? Like, how all that develop?
You know that was kind of a thing that was made up by like there's obviously competitiveness between us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he first came to Hot Bodies, I was very welcoming and we kind of got him going, like setup wise, helped him a lot. Like if you notice, when he first switched to Hot Bodies, I think he won Nitro Challenge the first year,
Yeah.
and I got second, and he was running my setup. Like it was almost a clone of my truck.
Mm-hmm.
So it started off super well, and then it seemed like I don't know if it was just the competitiveness got to both of us, but
Yeah.
the relationship seemed to have faded, and then it never really, like when I left Hot Bodies,
Yeah.
everyone thought it was because David and I's conflict,
Right.
when in reality it was the company was sold to I think Neidhart, and I didn't really want any part of that,
I
so that's
got
when
you.
I left.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really anything to do with David or our conflict is or our competitive whatever you want to call it, our competitiveness.
Right.
So then it just was kind of, that was all kind of just made up by media and gossip and speculation from the outside.
Awesome. Yeah. So
And then it
and that
just kind of grew to something where like now people probably thought that I left X-Ray because David went there, when in reality I had no idea David was going there
mm-hmm.
until it was announced to the world. Like it's not like I was knew it was happening and then I left. I didn't have a choice in leaving. So
Right. Cool.
it
That's
was
what I'm
it was
saying.
something that's kind of just a made up thing.
I got you. Okay. Like I said, man, and this is why I do this. This is why I do podcasts with individuals like yourself, because I want y'all to speak, be able to voice your truth, what really going on. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, we hear stuff through media, we hear stuff on the internet, Facebook. So that's why
Yeah.
it's good to have platforms like this, so we can have y'all on, and y'all can tell us the real true story like you just did. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, man. So, but yeah, bro. I ain't gonna keep it long, man. Like I say, I just noticed that again with you. You here now with you retired, and let me ask you this before we go into that. So with all your success and everything, and you help others no problem, and you even was willing to go overseas and help other drivers get their stuff set up running right and stuff like that. Do you feel like you are um I guess you could say underrated, or do you feel like you get all the respect that you deserve, or do you feel like you don't? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. There's good and bad times. Like
Yeah.
as far as companies go, I think there was a lot of the companies I ran for really appreciated what I did and
Mm-hmm.
recognized it. And there was others
Right.
that didn't so much. But as far as like fans go, I think it seems like anyway, they treat me as like I'm much more special than I really am. So that's kind of neat to see that.
Right.
It's also something that I try not to let go to my head. Like
That's
I mean,
true.
they always say how honored they are to meet me, and I say, well, I'm no different than you. Like I'm not some special superhero. It's just, I mean, we're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. Like
That's
when I
it.
was coming up, I saw these drivers and how they treated me so well that made me want to do it. So I felt like it was always like some paying forward to do. So I tried
Right.
to always keep that in the back of my mind and
Yeah.
tried to repay what I felt like I got given to me, and obviously to be the best steward I could with the gifts I was given.
I got you. Yes, right. I got you. And my boy Jers was just asking. He was just asking, What's your favorite race? And
Um, the sick cross. I don't know. I think the 5150 actually he did a video on it,
Sit
but there
cross.
wasn't
Okay.
very many. I think maybe
Mm-hmm.
there was two, maybe only
Mm-hmm.
one. But that and the Visions race. I would say were my two favorite,
Yeah.
and both of those races were heads up. Kind of the sick cross was gate starts, so side by side, basically like a
Mm-hmm.
motocross race, and the Visions race was a heads up also,
Yeah.
just different grid.
I
Both of those
got
races were super enjoyable, just for the just how you could race. Like
you.
you
Yeah.
don't have enough racing heads up anymore. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Cool. 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 Like I was saying, bro. Like I said, going into your retirement now, and like I said, I know that you manufactured, like you made your Ranger, you built that up, you built, full size cars, building that your Ranger and stuff. Um, so just say if a RC company wanted you to do more of like the manufacturing side, as far as like um help develop a kit or something like that, would you been interested in that, or what you think?
Um, I think it would be cool. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we kind of run into the same problem again with my like the reason I retired was to be home with family more, and if I
Yeah.
was designing a car or involved in that, I think there'd be a lot more traveling again. So that would be
Yeah.
something I would be not so stoked on, even
I
though the
got you.
opportunity to do it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of running into the same problem that I was trying to solve before. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean that I did have the chance, like when we were with Hot Bodies, the D812 and D815 were pretty much my dad and I's design, like from the ground up. Like
Yeah.
Torrance obviously made it look a certain way and designed it, but as far as geometry and input, that was pretty much just me and my dad doing that and giving him what we thought we wanted.
Yeah.
So we kind of were able to do that already. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like something I haven't been able to achieve, but I don't know. It's if if the circumstances were different, it would probably be a pretty cool way to do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like my boy Charlie Mack, man. Like I said, with you retiring, man, and basically he's saying the same thing I had written down here, just to give you your flowers, man, and just tell you that, man, you've been an awesome inspiration, man, to a whole bunch of drivers, man, that I probably you would never know. And and like I said, you retired because you wanted to spend time with your family and make sure they're straight. Um, far as like, and like I said, we totally appreciate all your hard work, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, for me, it kind of felt like um you didn't get the credit as you deserve. But I know that's a part of you being humble and a part of you being, just being your humble, being yourself, just also just being a man of God, giving God the glory for the opportunities and all the blessings He done bless you with. And like I said, we just as a RC family, man, we want to give you your flowers and say, we're proud of you. We appreciate all your help. And like I said, we hope you still be around to even do like a club race or something like that when you got time to, kind of similar to, what Tebow's gonna do. And yeah, man, we totally appreciate all your hard work and we proud of you and we understand, family come first. And you know, and congratulations, bro. We appreciate you, man.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And like with your mom working with Roar, would you be interested in doing something from time to time with Roar, helping her or something like that? Or
I haven't really thought about it a whole lot. There hasn't been a
mm-hmm.
whole lot of like. There's only been one or two.
Oh man, what happened? His battery probably ran tapped out. He probably gonna pop back in. Y'all hold on 1 second. Let me see if he pop back in. His phone probably died. But yeah, hey man, y'all hit them thumbs up. Yeah, hey, can y'all help a brother out? Y'all go subscribe to EKJ 24,000 on YouTube. Yes, sir. And hit them thumbs up. Share this. I think he's trying to plug back in. Here we go.
You there?
Yeah, we here. It's all good. We good.
Okay.
We good. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
be
as I
like
was
that.
saying,
Yeah.
so there hasn't been a whole lot of meetings or anything gone by since I
Mm-hmm.
retired. So I'm not really
Yeah.
sure. Like there is now that I have a full time job, it's kind of hard to do, like to be able to commit to stuff like over a weekend or anything like
Yeah.
it. I mean, there is like I only get so much time off now, so it's
I got you.
it's uh it's a little
It's
hard to
tough.
juggle all that now. If I
I know.
wanted to take that on, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a whole
I
lot of
got
thought put into that.
you. I got you. I got you. Yeah. Do you mind telling everybody what you're doing now? Do you want to tell
Yeah,
everybody
so
what you're doing?
I'm
Mm-hmm.
working at a welding shop as an apprentice welder for to try and get my ticket so I can become a licensed, like whatever you call it, official welder.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try and pursue that career, which it's strange to me. It's like starting over and learning a whole new industry because I've
Yeah.
done the same thing for so long
So
and
long. Mm-hmm.
been able to teach other people like my knowledge and stuff. So
Yeah.
to be on the receiving side of that is kind of strange and unfamiliar to me. So it's new and exciting and different for sure.
I got you. It's just a learning process, bro, and just stick with it. And
Yeah.
you're gonna be great. You know what I'm saying? You're a man of greatness. You know what I'm saying? God done put everything you need in you, all the tools you need. And man, you done built the whole Ranger. So you got you know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's just doing
Yeah.
it. And I know it's doing it in a different perspective as far as just like, doing a regular job. But yeah, man, like I said, but I just want you to know that, don't lose focus on, the blessing to be able to get out and race and stuff if you can, just always keep that, what I'm saying, cause it's gonna be times that you be stressed and whatever, and you're gonna need an outlet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
never know.
bro.
I guess you might see me at the track someday.
That's it. See, though, y'all. Hey, see that they've been asking, So that's my way of asking. Are you gonna drive again sooner or later or something? So yeah, but yeah, they've been asking, Ty. But yeah, bro. Man, like I said, that's pretty much all I had, man. And again, we're gonna give you your flowers, man, and we appreciate you all your hard work, man. And hey, well done, brother. Well done. Well done. Yeah, man. So yeah, we appreciate you, man. And like I said, I ain't gonna keep you all night. Like I said, I just appreciate this opportunity, y'all, and I appreciate you coming out and just wanting to do the podcast with me. And it seemed like we may have to do a part 2, long as later on down the line, as the days and stuff go on, as far as you working and stuff, and just catch back up and just get an update on everything. And hey, we appreciate you, bro. You did a lot, and you didn't, like I said, you didn't touch a whole lot of people, man. Just you being humble and be able to handle, racing under pressure and dealing with the media and with the beefs, with the disagreements and stuff like that. And you still handle everything like a gentleman that you are, man of God that you are. And we totally appreciate you, bro. And like I said, hopefully we can do this again. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, bro, no problem. And y'all, like I said, I appreciate all y'all for coming in, man. We done had up to close to 50 people in here, Ty. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, cool. Bro. So like I said, this is awesome, man. And like again, we appreciate your hard work, brother, and keep doing what you're doing, and keep taking care of that family. And like I said, always, yourself, got to keep God first, and you just give him glory, and he got you. He gonna take care of you. He obligated to do that, especially you saved and you're a man of God, and you give him some of your time, so he obligated to take care of you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro. But yeah, man, we appreciate you, man. Hey, Ty, we get a crunk around here, so we like to add a little music in, to our podcast over here. So hey, man, we totally appreciate you. We totally appreciate you, man, and keep us informed, man. Like I said, I'll be reaching out to you, touching bases with you, just checking on you from time to time, and we definitely got to do this again, bro.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Hey, y'all, we appreciate. Hey, I'm about to jump off so I can get ready to go to work in the morning, and cause Ty, I work for FedEx Express. Okay. So yeah, man. So we gonna jump off here, and again, brother. From man to man, totally appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be checking in with you. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Thanks
all right,
again.
Bro. Have a good night now.
Hey,
all right.
Too.
Yeah. Well, RC family, EKJ 24,000. Totally appreciate y'all for jumping into the podcast, man. Like I told you, I told y'all. I said, RC family, I got some heat. Coming for 2024. I just need y'all just to stay locked in, and y'all go subscribe, man. And this ain't it for I'm just telling y'all right now, this ain't it for the week. EKJ got some more stuff up his sleeve. You know what I'm saying? Some more stuff is up in here. It's gonna come out through the week. So y'all, I'm just telling y'all, stay locked in. Totally appreciate y'all. And man, y'all have a good night, man. Get off my live, man, and go home. You ain't gotta get off here, but you gotta go home. You ain't gotta get off the internet, but hey, you gotta get up out of here, because I gotta go to bed and get something to eat still. So hey, love y'all. EKJ 24,000 out. If you ain't ripping, you're tripping. See you at the track. See you out there bashing. See you out there practicing. EKJ 24,000 out. Appreciate y'all. Later.